Hi Gav, how are you?
Yeah, great, thank you. Are you all right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I thought it would be really useful. I know it's a few weeks now since we did our QHHT session, so I thought it'd be really useful just to find out a bit about how you found it, why you chose it, um, any benefits you've noticed from it, that kind of thing, to help other people understand what it is and whether or not it's for them. So, what made you choose QHHT in the first place?
Well, I saw your post on social media, and I'm quite into, testing out different things. I'm really into self-development. So when I read it, I thought, well, maybe it would help me develop myself and change the things what maybe were lacking in my life. And if I can improve it and take that to the next stage. And when I read up about it, there was a catalogue of different things that the sort of system, if I can call it that, would help you to deal with maybe challenges in your life, whereby you can ask certain questions and hopefully you would get the right answer. So I thought, well, let's give it a try. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And obviously I know you and I like you and I know you do good things. So I thought if there's anybody who I could probably trust, then it'd be yourself.
Oh, thank you. And how did you find the session?
It was really unusual, really unusual. It's something that I'm trying to think of the best words I can really give here, but I think a lot of people will have the sort of presumption that you've been sort of hypnotized, if you will. I have never been hypnotized and I don't want to be hypnotized, but I felt like I knew what was going on. I felt like I was awake but asleep, and I could actually hear things I was saying sometimes. But then, you record the session, and later on, I found out other things that I did say, but I didn't hear at that time. So it was quite unusual, and it was interesting. It was interesting, really. Certainly, when I've listened back to it, it's lots of different things have sort of come to and helped and supported me from the maybe challenges that I've had in terms of my sort of bugbearers, for want of better words. Almost like, why me? Why this? Where we're going? How can we get to that sort of end point, if you will? And certain things that was sort of addressed in the session kind of did help me, when as time has moved on since our sort of meetup, if you will.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, because it is called the quantum healing hypnosis technique, but I think the hypnosis bit, you're right, it is a bit misleading, isn't it? Because sometimes when people think about hypnotherapy, they imagine that person sat on a stage with a swinging pocket watch or whatever, and it isn't like that at all. And you do have complete control. I know when I had it done to me, I felt like I could have woken up at any point if I'd wanted to and walked away. And there is a sense that you can kind of, you're in your own head, but you can kind of see what's happening, and you can vocalize it and you hear it. And quite often when I do it with clients, at the end of it, I'll say to them, how do you feel? What do you remember? And they always think they've remembered it all. But then, as you've just said, when you get the recording and you listen to it back, there are always bits that you haven't sort of remembered or taken in at the time, and then you hear it back, and then it all fits together with what you do remember. So yeah, that's quite valuable as well.
The recording's really useful because, like you just said, I think the point what you made there, where I could probably wake up. I think looking back now, I think possibly I probably could have done, but I always felt like I knew it was going on, if you will. But there were certain bits that clearly I did miss until I listened to the recording. So yeah, it was it's certainly not the swinging hypnotizing anyway, and I weren't running around the room pretending I were a chicken or something, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't make you do anything embarrassing. And then during your session, there was a bit of healing that took place, and I could see the healing happening on your body whilst you were hypnotized. since that session, have you noticed anything different about the injuries that you'd had before and the healing that took place in the session?
Yeah, so I guess for your listeners, I've suffered from a bad back, probably like many other people at my age, but it stems back to around about 2005, and I think it resulted in doing lots of martial arts, lots of boxing, but also lots of silly charity trekking adventures, which took me to Everest and Kilimanjaro. And I constantly battled with my body, even though my body was telling me to slow down. And as a result, I think in total, I had around about 8 slip discs in my back and 5 surgeries and steroid injections and all sorts of things. And, you know, I couldn't really do anything. My back is still not brilliant. But I used to be a karate teacher. I had 3 clubs with my dad, and me and my dad passed our black belts together. He was my partner and I was his partner. And 3 weeks ago, I did my first ever karate session, which I've not done for maybe 20 years.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Very light, but I did it.
That's excellent. So you must have noticed some relief in the pain or the mobility.
Yeah. I think if somebody said, look, Gav, you've got to go and play 5-a-side football, even though I'd love to play, I would never, ever play it because I know how bad my back is. Somebody said, I've got to go and do an hour worth of training with karate. Again, that'd be exactly the same thing. But Harvey, my son, he wanted to have a go, and I actually joined in with him, which I never, ever thought I could do. You know, I've still got to take it extremely slowly because of the injuries and what have you. You know, I still have trouble walking, you know, from time to time. But that was a massive progression, which I never, ever thought it could happen, really. Never did. Yeah. That's
amazing. And Dolores Cannon always said, the more that you listen to the recording, so you have, when a healing takes place, it takes place in the session. And then you get the recording at the end, you take it away. And she always says, the more that you listen to that recording, every time you listen to it, especially if it's sort of just before sleep or when you're quite relaxed, she says that further healing can then take place. And so sometimes it takes a bit of a chunk of time, depending on the injuries or the condition as well, to sort itself out even more. So it might be that the more that you listen to that, the more you notice a difference as well. But that's brilliant.
Yeah.
To be able to
so if you see me in the Olympics in 4 years' time, you know it's down to you.
I'd love to see you in the Olympics. So would you recommend this to anyone else? And if you would, why? And if you wouldn't, why?
Yeah, okay. Well, firstly, I would recommend it. You know, as me as an individual, I do like to try out things, but, you know, if it will help and develop me as a person, and if I've got something which is, for want of a better word, irritating me, and see if I can't put it right myself, can somebody else help me to put that right? So yeah, absolutely, I would recommend it. I think anybody who's skeptical is obviously got to listen to this video and also do a little bit of research, because it is true. It certainly worked for me. You know, somebody who's had 8 slip discs, 5 operations, and steroid injections, you know, to be able to do a light workout, which I've not done for 20 years, is phenomenal, really.
Yeah. And also you got the answers to quite a long list of questions. You had every question answered in your session as well, didn't you?
Yeah. There were one part of it which I played it back to Kelly, my wife, and she'd laugh because you know, we talked about my brother, who's sadly not with us, and he were a big Burnley fan like I am, and you know, we had season tickets together, and we sat together, and my brother was disabled, so I sometimes used to take him home, you know, back to Rochdale, where we lived in Burnley, and he was a man of very few words, and you know, I think he came through and just said, "Come on, Burnley," and that was it. But it were yeah, I suppose you'd have to listen to that and understand, you know, the relationship and the person. That was him. There's no two ways about it. That was him.
Yeah. I remember that part of the session. Yeah, I love it when that happens, when people actually come through, and when the person who's being hypnotized says to me that has to have been that person because, and the words they use or the tone of voice that it comes through in, and yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm really glad that you had a good experience.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you being one of my case studies as well, Gav.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, if anybody is interested in taking part in a QHHT session, I'm still working on my case studies. I had a few people with things crop up over summer and they didn't go ahead with it. So I've still got a few spaces. I'm still working through case studies. If you fancy giving it a try, drop me a message or into the comments on Facebook, and I will come back to you with some more information. But as you can see from listening to what Gav's had to say, it is a useful experience. You do get answers to questions, and if you have got any health issues, then you can receive healing too. So it is worth a try. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you, Gav.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.